Bonjour and welcome to the Urban Parle Podcast. I'm your host, Sandra Dubose, and this episode is specifically for those of you who are entrepreneurs, who are aspiring entrepreneurs, or who are even thinking about titillating up with the idea of becoming an entrepreneur. And I'm so excited to introduce this beautiful young lady that you see on the screen. Let me tell you about this serial entrepreneur. I'm calling her a serial entrepreneur, but I'll let her verify if that is true. But this is Kimberly H. Winborne. She is the Money and Mindset Win Strategist and the owner of Kimberly Winborne LLC, which is a business, communication, and finance consultant company. She is a motivated entrepreneur of over 20 years who helps entrepreneurs and aspiring entrepreneurs access their next level and win through personal, professional, and financial development and resources. She uses this same model to support women in transition through her nonprofit, Beauty 180 Incorporated. There's so much more, and we're going to get into each of them. But just so we can get this conversation started, Kimberly Winborne, welcome to the Urban Parle Podcast.
Thank you for having me.
You know what? It's my pleasure to finally sit down and really be able to unpack life with you. Living in the Triangle area, we definitely are familiar with a lot of the same circles. I'm always seeing you post about different events that you're doing. And so I know that you are definitely a mover and a shaker. And so I'm excited to be able to kind of sit and get to know you just a little bit better and more about your journey. So thank you so much for taking time to be here with us today.
Awesome. Thanks again for having me.
Absolutely. Okay, so let's start off with serial entrepreneur. So when I thought about you, that was the thing that came to my mind, because it's not just, oh, she has a business. Whenever I see you, there are many different expressions of Kimberly Winborne. So can you talk about being a serial entrepreneur? Would you consider yourself a serial entrepreneur? Thoughts about that?
So that term is one of those that has its pros and cons.
Okay.
Because entrepreneurship, by definition, is about risk. And when it comes to risk, you can take various paths, right? So you have to always be pivoting. You have to fail in order to succeed.
Mhm.
And so as a part of that journey of entrepreneurship, which I'm over 20 years now, as a part of that journey, there are some things that worked and some things that didn't.
Okay.
And the things that worked is what I kept mastering or trying to master, right?
Okay.
And so I can associate very well with serial entrepreneur. I get it. But I believe I would just say I'm an entrepreneur, because entrepreneur is about shifting. It's about risk. It's about having multiple streams potentially, and that's not just entrepreneurship. That's just, great money management.
Right.
And I would say, I definitely wear a few hats.
I like that. I like that you said that. And the reality of entrepreneurship is that you have to be willing to try and fail, right?
Yeah.
And there is no shame in failing, because it's about the learning of what works and what doesn't. And I think a lot of times that people are kind of stuck on the fence. A lot of times they have analysis paralysis because they're so afraid to fail. Like, what are people going to think? Or what if this, what if that? But you have to understand, until you get comfortable with the journey and everything, all of the implications of that it may not go well, but it's really about being willing to go out there and to try. And that's how you get to success. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely. I absolutely 100% agree with that. And I'm considered a leaper. So my mentor calls me a leaper. She has different categories. And a leaper is a person who does just go. I may not have all of the details. I may not have all of the resources. I may not have all of the parts of the puzzle, but I just believe that if I go out there and I jump towards it, that it'll all come, it'll all fall into place. And I think as a result of that, that's why I wear so many hats. People say that term, that phrase, jack of all trades, master of none. And the thing is, I have been able to, and this is not ego, but I've been able to master, according to what people say a master is, 10,000 plus hours. I've been able to master a few things because when I dive in, and this is one of the things that I think people need to understand, when you dive into something, you really got to dive in. You have to do research. You have to be willing to sacrifice time. You have to do all of that. Yeah. So that was, especially when I was younger, I didn't have a daughter, I didn't have the same responsibilities that I have now as I've gotten older. So I was able to take that time, and instead of going to the club or different things like that, I would be online researching, looking things up at the library, because back then we went to the library more so than the internet. And then the internet kicked in, and you pay a lot of money to get a computer in your house. I remember 2:00 in the morning on my Dell computer. That was the first computer I bought. And researching, going to the library to print it because I didn't have a printer at the house, but just really diving into the businesses. And so that's how I was able to become a master of a few different things. So yeah.
I love that. And so let's go back a little bit.
Yeah.
And just in terms of the entrepreneur mind shift. So I'm really curious about your upbringing. So are you someone who grew up with a mom and dad who maybe were entrepreneurs? Were you immersed in that culture and in that mindset? Talk to me about your belief systems as a kid, what you were taught to believe about entrepreneurship, and what you saw that kind of planted those seeds in you to give you the confidence to be a leaper, because it takes great courage and great faith to do that. So how did you cultivate that?
You just said it, faith.
Okay.
My mother is a woman of God, like great faith. My grandmother, woman of God. I saw my grandparents have their own business. So my grandmother, she's a seamstress. People would come from near and far. She's in Little Washington, North Carolina.
Okay.
So people would come from near and far to get my grandmother to make their prom dresses, wedding dresses, all these different things, even men getting their suits tailored. Really? And so she started that business. I cannot remember her ever not sewing. She taught us how to sew through my mother. And then my grandfather had his own landscaping business. And now I didn't know that they were entrepreneurs, right? They were just working, right? For me, they were just working. I didn't know what an entrepreneur was until I started that path for myself. And I remember actually, I had been a business owner for a long time, Sandra, like 5 years or 6 years, somewhere between 5 and 10 years. And somebody called me an entrepreneur. And I had never even thought of myself as an entrepreneur. You know what I wanted to pursue? What? I wanted to pursue freedom. I wanted to pursue being a business owner and being able to create jobs for others. That was the reason why I wanted to be an entrepreneur or a business owner. And so what inspired me, or what fueled me, was my mother always told us we can do anything. We could be anything. And she was a single mother of 3. My dad died when I was maybe 5 or 6 months old. And so my mother she's in early childhood education. Okay. And those are the greatest people on the earth, because those are the people that are feeding our children very early and helping to cultivate them into who they are alongside us, their parents. And so she really poured into us that we could do anything, we could be anything. So I danced early on. I realized I didn't love dance as much as I love singing. So I sang all the way from church at 5 years old until after college. I sang with our dear friend India in a group. And so my mother would encourage that. Not only would she encourage that, she would tell the whole family. So a lot of times they would be a part of those things, but then she would travel to experience, even all the way to Elizabeth City when I went to college, and just as my best encourager and cheerleader. So that's really truly the motivation. It wasn't seeing somebody, necessarily do and be, because I didn't even understand that my grandparents were entrepreneurs until I grew older and realized, they were business owners. So what inspired me was just my desire to want to give back to my community, to see that not many African Americans, especially women,
Mhm.
were business owners providing businesses for people in their community. And so it was like a heart thing,
Yeah.
that is something that I want to do. And I got a 50-year goal. So I gotta I gotta really kick it in gear to do some things that are on my list to accomplish by 50, in order
Oh,
to kind of follow the
yeah.
path of success that I set out for myself.
That's fantastic. I mean, most people don't know what they're going to do tomorrow. I mean, more or less by the time that they're 50 years old.
Yeah,
So
I
I
mean, it
love.
changes. Purpose changes you. So when you walk in purpose, which I
Mm,
truly try to walk in purpose,
yeah,
it does change your footsteps. So there are some things that have changed,
sure.
but I overall try to remain focused in purpose,
Mhm.
remain focused on the vision, and as a result, then I just walk that path. But I knew at the age of 8, I knew that I wanted to be a business owner.
Really?
At that time, yeah, at that time, I wanted to be an attorney. I
Hmm.
wanted to be an attorney.
Okay.
And people say I seem like an attorney the way that I
Yeah. You
the
got
way
the
that I
pearls,
interrogate.
the pearls and the hair. You got the look. You got it all.
Oh, I have to look. But my friends joke and say the way that I interrogate them, I seem like an attorney. But that was my goal then. And I went to college. I got my degree, my Bachelor of Arts in English Communications, because I knew that would be a great degree for that particular goal.
Sure.
And then somewhere along the way, I just sat in class and I realized that that wasn't the path that I needed to take. And I wanted to have my own business.
Yeah.
So I was in master's. I was in school for my master's at the time,
Hmm.
and I pulled out. I just withdrew. I got up one day, I withdrew,
Really?
and I went to cosmetology school.
Okay.
And I did that in 8 months. I was determined to go ahead and knock that out. So
Hmm.
I did that in 8 months, got my certification, and that was my first business
I
as a
love
hairstylist.
as a
Mhm.
hairstylist, and
Yeah.
you're wearing it so well, darling. So
Thank you.
so very well. And I
Thank
love a
you.
lot of the things that you said because, for those of you who might be listening to us, you know, all of those things, and I'll just talk a little bit about my path to entrepreneurship, which really made me start to do a deeper dive to what are those characteristics of an entrepreneur. And
Yeah.
some of us, one of the things, quite honestly, I came into entrepreneurship not with intention. I've always been a singer like yourself.
Mhm.
So the being an artist, and a lot of times it's not until you grow up as an artist, but you don't really see yourself as a business,
Right.
a product, not until you start to really take that gift seriously and consider going into the industry of entertainment, then you start to recognize, wait a minute, I'm a product. I am the product that they will be selling, right? And so my brand and all of these different things and contracts and people making money, all of these things become reality where you have to start to see yourself differently, more than just, oh, this is funsies. I like to sing. I like, no, no, no. If there's money that's going to be made, so now you have to begin to shift your thinking. You have to begin to do your due diligence about how are businesses run, right?
Mhm.
And seeing yourself as that product and
Yeah.
starting to do your due diligence about those things, because we see so many stories of iconic artists that end up broke, right?
Yeah.
Over and over again. How does that happen? They had the popularity, but they did not have the paper. So
Yeah.
how do you prevent that from happening? You have to get your business mind as well, that left and right brain thinking, in tandem,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So it wasn't until I started to see myself as a business and started to go out motivational speaking and stuff like that, that I started to consider this idea of entrepreneurship and the possibility of all that that means. I know that you have a book called The Debt Detox, right?
Yes.
So you do a lot of things as it relates to helping people with their finances
Yes.
and really thinking about this idea of financial freedom
Yes.
and the potential and the power of entrepreneurship, that it is literally possible that you if you can get your mind to believe and have the confidence, and having that confidence in your gift or your skill or ability in yourself, and being willing to do the work, to do the due diligence, then having that financial freedom is a highly probable thing for you to have.
Absolutely.
But the truth is that there was so much fear. And I want you to talk a little bit about that,
Yeah.
because we're looking at you and you look fearless, like, yes, 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 I was born, I woke up like this. You know what I mean? But we don't all wake up like that, you know? And so there's a big wall of fear that people feel. And even for me, coming into entrepreneurship, there was so much self-doubt, not about my ability, but it was the scared of failing. It was the confidence that you need to believe that you can compete, that you do deserve to be financially free, that you do really deserve to have success, like all of these other things that kind of rise up in us as we are venturing out. And so it wasn't until I started to come against that part of myself, and I had to think about, what was my belief system? What was I taught? Because I didn't have grandparents that were, you know, you know, doing their own businesses per se. I mean, other than grandparents that worked on the farm in South Carolina and stuff like that. But, I had two working class parents with very, I would say, limited visions of what was possible. So the teaching that I got was to get a good job, right? It was about finding that good job, playing it safe, having the pension. Like that was the box that I was kind of brought up in, because I didn't see it done any differently. I just saw hardworking individuals trying to protect what they had amassed. And so it took a lot of retraining of the brain to be able to see myself differently than the way that I always kind of had myself in a box. So can you talk a little bit about how maybe, or if you've come across that, or even with some of your clientele, is that it's not about the ability, but it's about the mindset. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Absolutely. So mindset is something that is supremely significant to success.
It is.
Whether you're fixed or have a growth mindset is going to determine the path that you will grow and go or not.
Right.
And so one of the things that when we first start the program, day one, we're focusing on reconciling with ourselves. So financial reconciliations. What are the mistakes that you have made? You have seen other people make, like your mother, your father, somebody you grew up with, that it affected you so much that it became your burden. What is something that you need to forgive yourself for so that you can move forward from that and it not hold you back anymore? Because what I discovered when I was first doing the class, I created a program like 6 years ago, and I would be on my path, having people do this, do that, do the, and they would always end up hitting a wall. And I was like, why? I see the excitement. I feel the energy from them. I see the determination. What would happen?
Right.
What would happen is they would go along that path, and then something would remind them. And that is how, I'll say the enemy, that is how the negative forces work in our lives. They'll show up when we least expect it and remind us, you're not that great.
Right.
But it's a lie. They'll say to us, you remember when you did this, remind us of our mistakes. You remember how that set you back 10 years if you hadn't done that. And it'll tell you a story that will continue to play in your mind over and over. So one of the things that we have to do daily is be intentional. We have to listen to audios. We have to listen to meditation. I wake up, I love listening to piano worship. We have to begin to feed ourselves and intentionally do it, because it's not just going to be out here in the air. Like, you got to intentionally feed yourself the good. Turn off the TV, put away the phone, especially when you're starting your day and ending it. Even in the middle of the day, when you have high stress, take a moment and stop. I pray, take a moment and stop and breathe. Take a moment and stop and detach and center yourself, because the world is going to try to take over. That is what the world does, which is filled with a bunch of negativity. I'm a minister as well, so I could talk about some scripture about principalities, but I'm not going to go all the way over there. But we are fighting a battle every day against ourselves, because it's a whole bunch of stuff going on within us. And so one of the things that I do with my clients is I speak with them about mindset before we can go any further, whether it's a business client
Mhm.
or a financial consulting client, because I had a client a couple years back, and we were trying to get her salon really moving. She wanted to go into styling as well, image consulting and things of that nature. And
Mhm.
her clients, her salon clients, were blowing her up. They loved her.
Yeah.
She did not love herself.
Oh, come on
So
now.
as much as they were, oh, I love you, my haircut is the best, oh,
Yeah.
can you style me, oh, can you do this, oh, can you do that,
Mhm.
she was beating herself up to
Yeah.
where I couldn't even talk with her about raising her prices
Mm.
or any of that. So we had to take a step back, and I had to put on my personal development hat
Yeah.
and really help build her up, because of that fear. Back to what your question was earlier, that fear was holding her back, and that fear was self-imposed.
Yep.
That fear, people were telling her all the positives, but the thing that was her foundation, something along the way, a story that she was told, she chose to hold on to that and
Yep.
believe it. And statistically speaking, we hold on to the negative way more than we do the
Positive.
positive. Somebody can tell you you're beautiful,
Mhm.
but that one person that comes and says, like, to you, for instance, why you change your hair?
Right.
That one person, for someone,
Sure.
you know, is going to they're going to hold on to that. Well, maybe I shouldn't wear my hair like this. Maybe I shouldn't do this. Maybe I shouldn't do that. So
Right.
imagine you're trying to build a business,
Mhm.
and you're going to the people that you love,
Come on
and
now. People
you're
that we love.
saying to them, right, the people that love you too, right?
Yeah, they
And
love
you're
us.
telling them all of these ideas, these visions that God has given you, something outside of you
Mhm.
has given you.
Yeah.
And you're going to people that have no idea of the lens that you see through, and asking them to be your guide. It's kind of like a, you know, it's kind of like a dichotomy situation. It doesn't make sense.
Right.
And so, but that's what we do. And
Mhm.
so that continues to cultivate and nourish that fear that's already waiting to come out
Yep.
because of life, the things that have been thrown at us, the things that we have seen that we never even experienced,
Right.
causes fear in us.
Right.
And so that's one of the exercises that we do in my workshops. Like, we have to tackle the fear. When we talk about collaboration,
Mhm.
businesses working together, even going out and networking,
Right.
one of the biggest culprits to fear is self. We are egotistical. And
Yes.
I don't mean that in a bad way, but we do carry a lot of self pride, a lot of focus on self as humans, because we want to be safe, which is fine.
Right.
We want to be
Right.
secure. So what I talk to people about is two things. First of all, somebody is waiting for you to show up and shine so that they can also have permission to do the same, as Marianne Williamson says in her poem, Our Deepest Fear, which is one of my favorite poems.
My favorite
Then,
poem.
is it one of your, it's one of your favorites
It
too?
is.
It's your
It is.
favorite?
It is.
And then in the Word of God, which I totally co-sign on, in Matthew 5:16, it says, let your light so shine before men so that they can see your good works, not for you, but to glorify our Father which is in heaven. And
Mhm.
so I can't make it about me,
Right.
because I have assignment. I have an assignment. I have something that I have to do. It can't be about me. I might be sad. I might be tired. I might be nervous. I might have fear, but it can't be about me. It has to be about something greater and bigger than me, which is my assignment. And that helps people. Once you could take the focus off of you and
Mhm.
put it on something else, it helps people to actually move forward. And that's
So
one of the focuses.
I love that. And you said so many, you dropped so many wonderful jewels. So I'm picking all of that good stuff up. Excellent. I love when you talked about, the narrative, right? Our self-talk,
Yeah.
the things that we hold on to. And, we really have to take a deep dive and look at our own way of self-sabotaging and our own limiting beliefs of what's possible for us. And just like you said, so many people can affirm you and say, yo, that's the bomb. I love the way you did that. But something inside of us is saying, I'm not quite enough.
Yeah.
Right. So when we're talking about this path of entrepreneurship, those are the deep dive, the bigger things. It's more than just making a business plan. You
Mhm.
have to have a certain level of healed in your heart, in your mind, a certain level of maturity and understanding of yourself, emotional intelligence, so that you won't be your own worst enemy. And
Yes.
those are a lot of the blockages of why, I mean, statistically, correct me if I'm wrong, but a lot of small businesses after 5 years, they close. They don't have the staying power. They don't have that longevity. And there's
Yeah.
a myriad of reasons. It's easy to start, but it's not always so easy to really see it through and have that consistency. So it's like, how do you create that longevity? And these are some of the things that will come up. Another one of the things that you said that was really powerful is partnership and networking. People think, because you have the skill that you can do all things. You cannot have success or get to the level of success that you want being a one-man band. You need some other people to play some other instruments, because you may have an expertise in one area, but you're not going to be great at everything.
Right.
So it's so important for you to collaborate. You have to have some humility. You have to be willing to share, the stage with some people and be able to come together and let everybody bring their brilliance to the table without being intimidated. Because if you're going to play on the winning team, you want the best players on your team. You know what I mean? Like Shaq and Michael Jordan, like, we're not competing with each other. We all out here trying to dunk, trying to win. Because if your success is my success, when you shine, I shine. And if you're not mature enough to be able to handle that, then you're going to keep tripping over your own feet in this business of entrepreneurship, because those tools are so essential. Now, I want to just jump on, and you said that I saw recently that you are now going to ministerial school. And I'm so excited, and congratulations for that journey.
Thank you.
And so, but you started to talk about the spiritual aspect of things as well.
Yes.
And I want to just kind of hang my hat on purpose, because I think that when we talk about success, what is success? The definition of success. And as we said, the world is not your friend. Okay. They're not your friend. So part of this process is really, what does the word say? Be of in this world, but not of this world, right? So it's really being able to know when you have to turn the world off so that you can turn up the volume and what the Spirit of God is saying inside of you, right? And so I think that we have to be able to define, what does success look like? Is success a number sign? Is it when I reach $1 million, then I'm successful? Or is success to you being able to complete that task that Kimberly is talking about, being able to be in alignment with your purpose, your God-given purpose? And part of that, and what I find in working with people, is that a lot of times we don't know what our purpose is. Right. We want to make money. We see people, blowing up on social media. They live in their best life. They're like, yeah, I want some of that. But what is it that God, your creator, by whatever name you call him or her, what are they calling you to do in your life? Right. So can you talk a little bit about, how did you find your purpose and that passion? When did you know this is what it is that I'm supposed to be doing? Or are you just kind of leaping into what feels good and what you feel led to do at this moment and that moment? How did that journey go for you inwardly?
You know what? It was a definitely like a roller coaster.
Okay.
For me. It was a roller coaster for me, because I was leaping into this and into that. I was very certain when I was young. I was very certain at a young age.
Yeah.
And then I would say in my 20s, it began to be more of a seeking passion, and less certainty. Even though I had my degree, I had made some, had some successes. I became more curious as to what more there was, because I felt like something was missing.
Okay.
And so for me, purpose is different than passion. I have a lot of passion. I could be passionate one week about eating pizza, and then another week don't want it. You could be passionate about so many things. You could be passionate in a relationship, and then 2 weeks from today,
he says something crazy and you're not passionate anymore.
So I've learned that, I have to be careful with passion. Passion is definitely an amazing tool. And it's gas. It's like gas.
An indicator.
It's like gas. Yeah, you got to have some of that in your tank in order to go. Right. But you need so much more. There are more parts to the car than just the gas, right? And so, right. And so purpose for me was simple.
Okay.
And once I discovered it, it was a journey. I remember in 2010, God spoke to me about comparison. It's just one day I just had this thought. You will be defeated on your journey to success. You will be defeated by comparison. That's just what I heard.
Nice.
On your journey to success, you will be defeated by comparison.
Okay.
So don't compare. Beat your best, right? That's what I heard. And so from that day forward, I know it was God, right? Because come on. Right. So 2010 is when I decided I'm not going to compare to everybody else. It wasn't a perfect road because that's what we do often, especially as women. Yeah. We compare. But the more every time I would have that same quote and reminder. So my hashtag for a while was beat your best. And it's something that I still play with here and there because I needed to, in order to find purpose, God needed to share that with me. He needed to tell me that there are going to be a lot of people that come across your path, but you need to focus on the thing that I have for you, right? The abundance that I have for you, the plan that I have for you. And so purpose became about serving him. Yes. So that is our ultimate purpose. That is what I feel. If once people, and I don't force my beliefs on anybody. Sure. However, I am strong in them. Right. And I believe in them so strongly that I don't worry myself about money. I don't worry myself about chasing clients, any of that. I don't worry myself with those things. What I focus on is purpose, serving God. What does that mean, right? That means I need to be kind. That means I need to be diligent. I need to be a steward of my time and energy, which includes work, right? I don't need to be complaining. I need to be joyful, grateful. I need to be meek and humble. There's some attributes and character, right? And in order to be the fruit of the spirit, that means I'm trying to walk in fruit, right? I can't have bad seed in order to multiply. Sure. And I want to multiply. And so purpose for me, like I said, is really serving a higher power than myself, God, and all the attributes that come with that lead me to opportunities. So they lead me to people asking me to be on a podcast. They lead me to people asking me to come and speak for their nonprofit or their other organization. It leads me to somebody contracting me for this or for that. I don't necessarily seek out everything that I get because of the fact that I walk in purpose. And like I said, that purpose is to serve God. Now, don't get me wrong, I work. Yeah. I work. I have to have a plan. I have to have structure. I have to have quarterly strategy. Sure. I have to have strategy, right? I have to do those things. But do I let that be my purpose to make $1? No, I don't. And so I have been a hustler. I have been a person that barely slept, worked several businesses, even while pregnant. I've been that person, but I have more peace today because I focus on purpose.
So I'm glad that you said that when you talked about hustling and stuff like that. Talk a little bit about work-life balance. How do you do that? Because you are a mother. Are you currently married? I don't know your relationship status. And you don't have to say it, it's none of my business, girl.
Okay, no, I'm not married, but I'm definitely connected. Okay. Like I believe in relationships. I still have a great relationship with my ex.
Okay, wonderful. So how have you, because oftentimes we see someone who's so driven, who's so passionate and so hungry, and you have to be, like you said, you have to have that passion in your tank. You have to be willing to go above and beyond. You ain't going to get always 8 hours of sleep. You're going to have to be willing to sacrifice. You can't watch your, Married at First Sight. Or, when it come on, you might have to DVR it and catch it at a later time. Yeah. But how have you been able to find, or have you been able to create what I call holistic success, where you're not chasing something so much that you then sacrifice the most important things, right? Like, how do you still show up as a mom and be there for her different things and be this powerhouse woman? How do you show up for your man and meet his needs? That looks like sometimes closing the laptop, changing your schedule so you can have those date nights and stuff like that.
Yeah.
How do you create that? What does that look like for you?
So don't have a man,
Okay.
but when I did,
Okay.
I've been a business owner, like I said, for a while. He was, it's having the support, which takes communication. This is my schedule this week. This is how it's going to be Saturday. This is this. Can you support me? Can you help me? Communication helps in all of the areas that you just mentioned. Even with my daughter, who's 12, she'll be 13 soon. I communicated with her in January. I said, I have some goals, babe, that I want to achieve by the end of March. So from January to March, mommy's going to be really busy. So this is what I want you to do. Can you just write down some time of different things that you want to do so we can make sure to implement that time? And then for spring break, it'll be all about you, and so I told her that in advance. So whenever I'm busy and I, have to have longer hours or some time to myself to write papers or what have you and do work or client calls, she already has understood. She's already been told that, and she knows I love her.
Yeah.
I give lots of hugs as well. Give me a hug. But yeah, communication.
Yeah.
Communication is a big, even with asking for help. Asking my family members throughout the years, can you pick Sophie up from school? That's my daughter's name. Can you do this for me? Can you do that for me? And back to collaboration.
Yeah.
I do not do anything by myself. I do a lot.
Yeah.
I do a lot, but I also have people, if I don't ask, they ask me if they can help. I have people who volunteer and who I have on staff or I collaborate with. I collaborate often with my graphic designer. I do affiliate partnerships where I'm a referral resource for your company. And so therefore it comes back to me. And so those are things, relationships are so significant to entrepreneurship. Which networking is a huge component of that. And one of the things I tell people who say they're introverts, everybody's an introvert now. There are true introverts, but there are also people who have social anxiety. And I need people to understand the difference. If you have social anxiety, then that may be something that you need to see a therapist about, because it could be holding you back. If you're an introvert and you're truly an introvert, which is a personality type, then I know several introverts who still go out and network, and then they just come home and re-up. They shut down for the rest of the night, right? And do what they need to do to get their energy back. So I think it's significant for an entrepreneur to understand which you are so that you can be successful. So if you're a person who has social anxiety and networking provides you that social anxiety, and so you don't want to do it, one of the exercises I tell them to do is figure out what sort of intentional networking you need to do. If you're sort of don't like being in the room with people, which most people don't these days. So if you have social anxiety, you don't want to wear a mask and all that stuff. So do some online networking, but be intentional about it. Make sure that it's a group of people that are going to serve your purpose, the goals for your business that you need for that quarter, for the year. Make sure also to be learning from other people in your industry. So do some networking there so you can collaborate potentially. There's LinkedIn, there's Eventbrite, there's Facebook groups, all these resources for networking, but don't not network just because of that. So find maybe one a month, start there, then maybe go to 2 a month and work your way up. And use the tools that you have before you, emailing, following up. You can build so many different things behind the scenes without ever having to be in the room with someone. So those are the things that that has helped me to be able to do. I don't have social anxiety, but I have had moments where we all have moments where we just can't, right? We need a break.
Indeed.
And so in order to have that balance, you talked about work-life balance, you also have to recognize, I've had to recognize, because I would hustle and go, and then have burnout. And burnout is a horrible thing for an entrepreneur, for anybody.
It is.
But especially for an entrepreneur, a lot of people are getting burned out so much earlier than fourth quarter now.
You know what? I'm so glad that you said that. Talk a little bit about, right now is the Great Resignation, right?
Yeah, I did a post about that.
So with the whole pandemic and everything that has really been unearthed, this new
Yeah.
information that we have access to, which teaches us that there are many ways to skin a cat. So
Yeah.
it really, it forced us to come out of the box to
Mhm.
see that, what are the options really for me? Like I could stay home and still be productive. I can, like spend more time with my kids and my family and go to work. I don't have to commute. Like there's so many ways to do
Mhm.
life that people are now rethinking, creating the life that they really, really want for
Yeah.
themselves, And so that's one of the things that I talk to people about too, is that think about the life that the way you want your life to look, and then create your business around that. Not
Yeah.
create your business and then try to fit your life around your business. Don't put the cart in front of the horse. Think
Yeah.
about the
Yeah.
quality of life that you want to be able to cultivate. If you want to be present for your children, if you want to be able to vacation twice a year, whatever that looks like, then you build your business. But we have the power to be able to do that. And I think that there's so many people that are waking up, and that's why they're like quitting their jobs, starting businesses. What are your thoughts on that before we begin to close?
Yeah, that great resignation is
Yeah.
all that you said, not just people who wanted to necessarily start their business, but they realize they have other options. They're
Yeah.
not getting treated fairly on the job.
Come on
They
now.
are not making
Making
enough
money.
money. Right.
Yeah.
It's so many reasons why people, and then also the health needing to come home to be with a family member or being
Yeah.
concerned about getting COVID or what have you. So many reasons for that. And one of the things that I think is super significant to this next phase. So one of the things that I teach in my class and people need to understand, so hustle can't last always. Hustle is two things.
Yeah.
It's a mindset and it's a physical disposition.
Sure.
And so you can hustle, and I believe in a hustle, go, 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 right? But you have to have a plan behind the hustle or you'll burn yourself out. By
Indeed.
that, if you will make 400 to 600 additional dollars, then you will be financially free way sooner than that person who didn't do that little hustle. So I do encourage people, what are your gifts and skills?
Mhm.
Create an additional income that brings in
Monetize.
four, yeah, monetize that $400, $600 a month.
Sure.
It doesn't seem like a lot. We spend that a month sometimes on food and eating out, entertainment.
Yeah.
But what if that could change? What if you could bring that extra income in to be able to knock out debt, student loans, all these different things? Then
Mhm.
it's going to change the trajectory of your life. And everybody, most people rather, want to be financially free.
Of course.
And so the hustle needs to be intentional,
Mhm.
but it can't last always, right? The hustle where you're just go, 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 never spending time with family, never spending time with friends,
Right.
always going. You might have the money, but what is it doing to your heart health?
You're out
This
of
is heart health.
balance. It's
Yeah,
out
what
of
is it
balance.
doing to
Mhm.
your body? What is it doing? Are people are just dropping.
Yeah.
People that seem healthy are just dropping from having heart attacks and things like that. And a lot of them are overdoing it with hustling and all of that. So we got to have a balance
Mhm.
because we have to be here. And I am a advocate of balance, not just financially, but across the board. It all goes together. So financially, physically, spiritually, mentally leads to emotional, all of those. So
Mhm.
yeah.
That's good stuff. So there you have so many businesses. So I want to give you an opportunity to, one, tell us about all of the things, because you do all the things. Tell us about all of the things and ways that people can connect with you, and how they can connect with you on social media, and the
Sure.
services that you provide that you'd be able to service.
Mhm. So my business is Kimberly Winborne LLC. And then I have a nonprofit called Beauty 180, which you mentioned earlier.
Mhm.
And then so those are primarily my two businesses, right? I have two businesses. Now I do have several programs and different components underneath those businesses, like Coffee and Collaboration Media is a component of under Kimberly Winborne LLC. That's the media side. So my company is a financial services, business consulting, and communications consulting company, Kimberly Winborne LLC. So we work on public relations. We work on communication strategy, which mostly we're doing podcasts, TV shows, content creation, things like that, in order to give people the tools to build community, build clientele, grab their target market. And then, of course, the financial consulting. which the debt detox program is the main program. We're taking people through the process of cleansing the toxic financial habits that have held them back for way too long in order to win, which they're born to do. And that's a play on my name, Kimberly Winborne.
Yes.
So I just always say people are born to win.
Amen.
And so that's Kimberly Winborne LLC. And the nonprofit is basically something that I have had for maybe 3 years now. We support women in transition. I had been doing that prior to. So I would go in pro bono and serve in the capacity of financial consultant. I would credit repair, life insurance, wealth strategies, even going into the prison system to help people through mindset development, talking about even being an entrepreneur. And when you come out, what you can do financially. We did homeless benefit dinners, and also working with women who are victims of or overcomers of domestic violence. And so that's the nonprofit's purpose, to really build, help to rebuild and strengthen not just the mother, but the family unit of that person who has been disenfranchised, that woman and that family that's trying to get back on top. So those are really the two businesses. As I said, I've been a salon owner and a stylist since 2002. Yeah, so 20 years, a little over 2002. So that's something that I still do, but only part-time. It's a component of the nonprofit, so that's why I still do that. And we have some goals around that. And of course, people can get in touch with me through Kimberly Winborne LLC. It's easy to see right there behind me.
Yes,
it's at Kimberly Winborne LLC on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn, and then also Kimberly, just myself, or KimberlyWinborneLLC.com. And then for Beauty 180, same thing, just at Beauty 180 everywhere. And so once they go there, it kind of lead them to everywhere else. Coffee and Collaborations Media is at Coffee and Collaborations everywhere. And so for anybody that's interested in starting a podcast or being a podcast guest, would love to connect with them. That is something that I've been able to do in order to help businesses gain exposure, just interviewing them and having a conversation, much like you're doing right now. And we have under Coffee and Collaborations Media, a TV show called Love and Flow TV, a podcast called Thank God It's Fashion Friday. And then my podcast was The Ultimate Fan, which is Friends Accountability Network as an acronym podcast. And so those are all the pieces of me. The Praying CEO is a community for women who are entrepreneurs that just love to pray, want to build up a relationship with God. We have programming and different things that we do. We get together, we support each other and collaborate. So the Praying CEO is a component of Beauty 180 Incorporated, the nonprofit. And so for any woman of God, or even some men are in there who love to pray or want some prayers, especially concerning your business, whatever's affecting it, we would love to have you guys to join us. So that's all the pieces of me. And I would love to connect with, anybody that wants to connect to me, to get some financial counseling, to go through the debt detox program, to get some prayer, some love and care and concern, because sometimes that's all a person needs. They don't need you to talk them to death. They just need somebody to listen and to love on them. And so that's who God made me to be, and I'm glad to walk in that. Thank you for having me.
Are you kidding me? Listen, this has been tremendous. I'm going to have to listen to this a couple of times because there was so much great information that you gave, and you just know that people are watching and you are a true inspiration. I don't know if you eat Wheaties from breakfast, lunch, and dinner. I don't know what you put in your smoothie that keeps you with all of this great energy and creative ideas for these wonderful businesses. But I just wish that we all could just have just a little piece of what you have naturally, that God has truly blessed you and clearly given you an assignment, but not just that, he's equipped you to be able to do all of the things that he has put in your heart and in your mind to be able to do. So I pray that he will continue to bless your business, that as you go forward, and you're shining your light in the way that you do. There's so many people that are just inspired by your light to make us say, you know what, at least let me get one of these ideas off the paper and get them going. Because if Kimberly is out there winning big, man, we got to We got to do our thing, bro. We got to
We
do
are
our
all
thing.
winners. We are all born to win.
That we
We
were
are
born to
all
win.
winners.
That's
God
right.
does not make any junk. And
That's
so
it.
we have to remind ourselves that daily. That's what helps to keep me going.
Yeah. Absolutely. It takes all of that, but you're doing a fantastic job. I'm so glad that you took the time to share your wisdom and your heart and your beautiful spirit with us at the Urban Parle Podcast. So we'll definitely stay connected. Hopefully I'll be able to do some work with you somewhere. We can collaborate on something.
Yay.
So, but yeah, so thank you. I hope that you have been blessed as I have been blessed today and motivated and inspired to say, you know what? It's only February. We've got 10 more months to 2022. So whatever you put on that list of things that you wanted to accomplish, you've got plenty of time, you've got some motivation, and you've got people that are out here grinding it out. You can too. So get out of your own way. Let's get into it. You are born to be successful. God has equipped you. Believe in yourself because you can do it. We believe in you. So God bless you. And thank you all for watching and listening. And I will see you next time on the Urban Parle. Peace.